Mark was being influenced by Yitzhak Shapira. And Yitzhak Shapira and Mark decided to embark on a course to rein in the Messianic community under the Noahide laws. Now, there were two organizations that were part and parcel to the Messianic community, and they're international organizations, and they have very strict standards. So if you want to join one of these standards to become a rabbi in one of these congregations, which I believe Mark is, a rabbi under one of these standards, there's two things you can't do. You cannot preach a two-house theory, that there was a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. That's banned. And you cannot teach of the doctrines of Batya Wooten. And Batya, right? You know that, her and her work, right?
I was friends with her. She was one of the first women that I met when I came into all of this. She was having a big conference. I had gotten the download about the 12 tribes, and I had had all my banners, and she invited me to come if I would help work at her conference, to come and bring all my banners and my teaching on the tribes. And I had written these little tags all about the tribes that went on these banners that I made, right? So she stops by my table. She says, "Sweetheart, how is your sales going?" I said, "But yeah, everybody just wants to buy my tag." She said, "That's because you're supposed to really write a book on this."
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good of Batya to say that. Yeah. But she was banned by these two Messianic communities. Now, I don't remember the IMJA or the IMDJ or something. I forget these congregations' names, but there were two congregations in the Seattle area. Mark was one of them that came under one of the banners, and there was Beit Tikva, which was another pleasant place. It's a pleasant place, but nonetheless, even though it's a pleasant place, it came under one of these international Messianic fellowships, and they were very clear that you had to have somebody who was Jewish to be your rabbi, and they either had to be Jewish in their lineage, or they had to be Jewish in their faith to be the rabbi. And that if you were not Jewish, you were welcome in the congregation, but you had to come under the Noahide laws. Now, the Noahide laws, of course, we did a lot of research on this, and the Noahide laws all spring from Maimonides, right? They do not exist in Scripture. They're a rabbinical paraphrase that was created by Maimonides in the 14th century. And they're part of the Gemara. They're part of the Mishnah. They're part of the Gemara, rather. They're rabbinical opinion. And they have been incorporated into the Talmud. And so what this is, and the biggest problem with the Noahide laws is that they're Mashiach denying. Mm-hmm. Okay? And of course, anybody who really gets to know the Jewish world, for instance, I used to have a Jewish prayer book. Well, I still do. I've got a couple of Sidurs, and I have other Jewish prayer books. But there's some very common prayers. Like, for instance, we used to pray the Kaddish. Is that what it's called? The Kaddish? It's the prayer for the dead, which is really quite a beautiful prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. And we used to pray that prayer in Hebrew. And of course, we used to pray the Amidah.
Amidah.
But the Amidah has a big problem, which is the 18th paragraph of the Amidah is a curse on people who believe in Mashiach. Okay? So if I ever prayed the Amidah, I'd have to leave out that last paragraph. And there were other prayers too. That that's called the standing prayer in Judaism, and it's the kind of prayer that is given in at the kotel, right, at the Wailing Wall, the kotel. Now, I mean, I have to tell you, I have been to the kotel 3 times, and I have prayed at the kotel 3 times. And the third time I prayed there, I asked myself the question: what am I doing praying at this pile of rocks? I don't believe these are Temple Mount stones.
Right.
I don't believe that this has got anything to do with the Temple Mount. This is the fortress Antonia, and it was built by Herod, and that's obvious. You can see it in the geography and the geology of the place. And but nonetheless, I said, well, and Yah kind of convinced me at that time. He says, there's a lot of prayers that happen at this place. And I said, yeah, that's true. And he said, because there's a lot of prayers that happen at this place, it is a place of prayer. I said, okay. And so I prayed, and that particular prayer was really quite revealing for me. It was a 20-minute prayer that went on there at the wall. And but because I had prayed at the kotel does not make me Jewish. And it's like there's a lot of people who see, Like, for instance, you cannot approach the kotel unless you're wearing a kippah.